Welcome to the Foundations of Criminal Justice class. I'm very excited that you're here. The first thing we're going to do is go through chapter 1, and I'm just going to hit some highlights of chapters of slides that I think would be helpful for you. If this is your first time taking an online class, know that it does take a little bit more consideration as far as commitment and self-motivation to make sure that you are on track. So go ahead and open chapter 1, What is Criminal Justice, PowerPoint, and I'm just going to hit some highlights for you. The first thing I'm going to ask you is on slide 5 is what is your vision of a criminal? Does it look like the gentleman in 5 or the people in 6? And then to be able to talk about the difference of what is street crime versus white collar crime in slide 7. And you'll see in 8 the difference, and it really explains that most of the time what you're seeing in the TV and on media is more likely street crime. These are often personal crimes, so their victims could be one, or like the mass shootings in schools, sometimes there's more than one victim. That's different than white collar crime. When white collar crime occurs, it often hits hundreds and thousands and tens of thousands of people for scams that have been implemented via white collar crime. And then if you look on slide 10, it just explains the definition of what is criminology. And slide 13 will bounce you to the difference between what is criminology, which is really the etiology or just a fancy word for saying study of crime, versus criminal justice, that it's more agency specific. And as this is the foundations of criminal justice, our course will follow more along the lines of things on the right. What is criminal justice? And 14, it asks, what is a criminal justice system? And the reason why this slide is in red, the system is in red, is that even though we like to say that it's a system, that you go from police, or sometimes people call it LEA for law enforcement, so law enforcement to the courts to corrections, the reality is a lot of times these agencies are not a system. They are really their own silo, and it's very difficult to find one person throughout all three of them because they often don't share data or communication amongst each other. Then starting on 16, we'll give you 4 different ways to view the criminal justice system, and that'll go for a lengthy period of time. You want to pay attention to number 19, the stages. It just gives you an overview. It's identified by color. If you look at purple, those are conducted by the police. The whitish color is conducted by prosecution and defense. And then the green is conducted by the courts. And then the last part is those that are conducted by the corrections. And that'll pretty much take you all the way down until, pretty much for a large portion of the slides for this slideshow. You will see on number 31, the third way to view the criminal justice system as an informal model of justice. And you'll see on number 32 that at the top there's the celebrity cases that we often see. Some people refer to this as the wedding cake. And at the top is the celebrity cases that often infiltrate our news and media. And then the second one is serious felonies that are often highlighted. And then you have less serious felonies at the bottom and the second to bottom. And then the very last one is misdemeanors. And misdemeanors are the ones that will take up a large portion of our court's time. You or someone you might have known might have been charged with a misdemeanor crime. These are often low-level crimes, can still possibly have access to jail if convicted, but most of the time these are non-violent, lower-level types of crimes. It really depends on the area you're in, whether you're in an urban area, a rural area, what is to make up of misdemeanors versus less serious felonies. But it's just important for me to have y'all know on slide 32 that at that second level, that serious felonies, that is not something that we see often. So I might say more than once in this class that violent crime is a very rare event. Even though we see it on the news, we see it on the TV, we see it on the internet all the time, it is typically a very rare event. And slide 37 gets you to the fourth way to view the criminal justice system, and that's not a system, and that's what I was talking about before. It's just that they're just a loose definition, if you will, of multiple systems that are kind of um, relying on each other, but don't necessarily operate smoothly. Starting on um, 39, you'll get 5 different perspectives of how to deal with crime. You have the crime control, you have rehabilitation, you have due process, non-intervention, and justice. And these are all different ways that will underline the rest of this semester and how you're going to look at other things that we'll do in this semester. And the last 2 slides just talk about the cost of criminal justice. So like I said in the syllabus, I would find it important for you to read the chapter. There's a lot of information in the chapter. I don't find this course all that hard. It's just very different terminology for folks that are not CJ major.